What's going on, guys? Another episode of the MMA Complex. My name is Josh.
And I'm James.
It is July 9th, 2018. Brand new episode, fresh off of 226. We're just talking about a bunch of different random things right now. But, man, what's going on, man? How's everything going with you?
Good. I hate summer, man, and summer's in full effect.
It is hot. It's been a hot couple of days for sure.
Yeah, I think I don't really mind like dry heat.
Yeah,
it's just like a day like today where it's humid and I'm sweating my ass.
Yeah,
it's horrible because you go outside and it's cloudy, but it feels like it's like 115 degrees outside.
Yeah. We are in summer now. Yeah. June's over. We're in July. It's summer now.
I'm just glad for July is over because I had to work super early the next day, and those damn fireworks were going on until like 2 in the morning. And I couldn't sleep. It's a war zone where I live.
Yeah.
I had like 2 hours of sleep.
Like right here, like in our area of the city. Like, I don't know. I'm sure it's the same other places, but like it's concentrated like chaos.
Yeah,
and these two neighboring cities are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
Rivera
most of them don't even know what 4th of July is. It is a day of fireworks, and For me, I had to wake up like at 4 in the morning, and I had 2 hours of sleep. It was horrible, but I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I didn't have to wake up too early. But I still had to wake up early and, just took a self-medicated, fell asleep, worked late the night before on 4th of July. So I didn't get to really spend it doing much, just hanging out.
It's good.
But, yeah. Other than that, the heat, 4th of July, 226, all that. We'll get into that right now. But first, we want to mention that on this show, we have a special guest. We have Ed Ruth, Bellator middleweight, now welterweight. Former 3-time collegiate world champion, undefeated, 6-0 professional Bellator fighter. Ed Ruth is on the show today, so we'll get to his interview soon. Before that, we'll get to the fight week and all the fights that were just this past weekend. You had PFL Shields versus Cooper. Cooper winning by decision, avenging. It goes to show you how old we are and how old this sport is getting. And how time moves on, and the fact that Cooper's father lost to Jake Shields, and now he's pretty much of fighting age. He avenged the loss of his father to Jake Shields.
Oh my God,
isn't that crazy? He was a little kid when when his dad lost.
That's nuts.
It's nuts, right?
That's nuts. It makes me feel like
it was a TKO loss. TKO win by Cooper. I think I forget which round it was, maybe the second or third, but
it's like it's crazy, isn't it? Like
it's crazy.
Oh my God,
people are retiring. People's kids are avenging their losses. It's like, what the hell? So crazy, man. That was on MSNBC. You had the tough finale on July 6th, FS1 and Fight Pass. That was Israel Adesanya versus Brad Tavares. We'll get to that main event right now. Before we get to 226, so that card was on a Friday night. And the whole card was primarily tough winners and tough competitors, but it had a couple of notable wins by some veterans like Roxanne Modafferi and all that. But the main event was the main event. That was the one we were waiting for. Israel Adesanya, Brad Tavares. I don't know if you were able to catch the fight, but what's your thoughts overall in terms of the fight overall? I guess. What'd you think?
Yeah, Friday night I didn't watch it, but I went back and I recently watched the fight for the first time, and I thought Israel's super impressive. I mean, Brad Tavares is a top 10, fighter. Yeah. He's a veteran, someone who's I think a well-rounded fighter, and for Israel to come in, quote unquote, a prospect, which he kind of is in mixed martial arts. Yeah. He showed maturity. I think his striking is like off the chain, and awesome. And it's like. He kind of reminds you of Anderson Silva, John Jones kind of fighter with
the wrestling, right? Like I don't know, with the defense. I think he's got better wrestling defense than Anderson.
He is so good, and I'm really excited to see him. I think he should fight a top 5 guy next, and I think I like the way the UFC is kind of pushing him, kind of getting him that slow push. But he made a name, Friday night, and. That was a super impressive victory by Israel.
Yeah, I think people were looking at Brad Tavares as the biggest test for him because he's been in the game for a while. He's also a young guy, and is well rounded. And Israel showed up, man. I felt like he was. This is a great test for him. I didn't. I thought highly of him last few fights, and I think this one. I thought he was gonna win, and he pretty much he won. Man, he stuffed takedowns. He he tried submissions. He had submission defense. He had his striking was just insane, fluid. Just threw whatever he wanted. Landed almost pretty much everything. Brad came out really strong in the first like round or two, and it was pretty. If Israel wasn't as good as he was, it would probably have been a tough go for most fighters. But the fact that he was able to keep distance and wear Brad Tavares down as time went on, and that calm demeanor that he has in the cage, it's just like he's like a pro. He's like a veteran. He's got that veteran calm demeanor when he's entering that cage.
Well, I mean, like all that experience in glory. I mean, I think the UFC doesn't phase him at all.
Yeah. What impressed me most was the fact that most guys that come from one discipline, they have holes in their game. And like on his last few fights, I was like, okay, well, he's got tested in this. He got tested in his ground game and his jiu-jitsu. Okay, now he's got tested in his striking. Okay, now he's got tested. And then Brad Tavares was like the ultimate test of everything. And he didn't impress me so much. Most guys like are they come from a kickboxing background, boxing background. They have holes like wrestling or jiu-jitsu or whatever. This guy's able to do everything. And his body type helps him a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And his conditioning, he looked exactly the same in the first that he did in the fifth.
Yeah,
and he looked amazing, man. So
yeah.
I mean,
and I'm glad that fight went 5 rounds. It kind of did a testament to his conditioning as well.
Yeah, and he was more interested in a 226 event with Paulo Costa and Uriah Hall. He was going to the event to watch those guys because he wanted to fight the winner of those guys, which I think is a good matchup. I mean, but Paulo Costa is calling out Chris Weidman, which I'm not sure if he's going to get Chris Weidman, but I think he actually might.
Yeah.
But I would like to see.
I mean, him beating Uriah Hall is not much anymore.
No, but Uriah looked pretty good up until the end. But Paulo Costa, I don't know. Would you keep these two middleweight contenders separate? It's almost like a Kamal Usman and Darren Till. I wouldn't mind. Like, do you keep them separate or do you put them together?
I mean, I wouldn't mind him fighting Weidman. I think he can benefit from beating a big name like Chris Weidman but I don't know. At the same time, those two guys have to fight eventually.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind him fighting Weidman first.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I mean, because I wouldn't mind them keeping them separate. Those two are probably the two most promising prospects in the middleweight division right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind them keeping separate for a little while longer up until they're like solidified top 5 fighters. Then you can put them together. But yeah, the middleweight division and especially those two guys are definitely title contenders in the future for sure. The only thing about Paulo Costa I didn't like is that he doesn't have a head movement, almost none. Like Uriah was just popping him with that jab almost the entire time their fight, and I was like, okay, that's gonna be trouble for you when you fight someone like Israel Adesanya, who will just pick you apart if you don't move your head.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about Uriah Hall, someone who, if you watch that season of The Ultimate Fighter and the way he was just finishing guys in the first round, people thought he was going to be the next great big thing, and look at him now. He's fallen.
He's more of a gatekeeper now, right?
Like, yeah, I mean, past him, he's slowly even losing that.
He's kind of slowly losing that.
I think casual fans don't even know who he is.
Like his biggest win lately was the Musashi when he hit him with the back kick.
Yeah, but before that, he was on his way to losing that fight.
Yeah. It's just, and did Musashi avenge that loss, right? Didn't he beat him again?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
like right away.
Yeah, right away.
So yeah, I thought that night of fight was great. Israel showed up, and then you have Paulo Costa in 226. This was a stat card. You had Dan Hooker coming out with a big victory. Rafael Sensao, who I know the guy doesn't talk a whole lot, but the guy's like 11-0 in the division. He's undefeated, and his only loss has been really to TJ Dillashaw, the champ. So I think one more win. I think people are gonna. I feel bad for him, because he's like, there's not a whole lot of contenders that have his credentials, and only losses to the champ. But the guy doesn't promote himself really, and he doesn't.
No.
He's not a good talker.
Not at all.
He kind of gets lost in the shuffle. That's unfortunate, but I think he's somewhat on the radar. If he has another good performance, I think he'll probably get the shot after this Cody fight. Yeah, Khalil Roundtree and Gokhan Saki kicking off the main card. I was not sure on this fight. Again, you have a Gokhan Saki who comes from a world champion kickboxer fighting Khalil Roundtree, a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but
It's knocked down in the first round.
Knocked down in the first round. It was like a low kick. Saki went for the low kick. Roundtree hit him with a straight, I think straight left.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I thought Saki would do much better in the UFC, but it's like he's gonna.
Does he look like he doesn't look like himself anymore? Like I know he's getting older, but he looks like like drawn out. Like his body doesn't. He has almost very little muscle definition. He doesn't have a
maybe his size is a big factor to that.
Maybe. I know they don't do a whole lot of drug testing in the kickboxing.
Oh no.
So yeah, I'm sure that's probably a factor. He doesn't. I mean, maybe the. Well, also I think the middleweight because he's normally fights heavyweight guys, and he's normally known as a heavyweight and a light heavyweight kickboxer. I'm not too familiar with in terms of the weight structure, but I think a 185 might be maybe too much of a cut for him. Maybe it draws him out too much and he doesn't feel good. I think he should probably move up to light heavyweight. And even though he's a little smaller of a light heavyweight, fighting guys like maybe a Shogun or fighting some guys that maybe are somewhat, maybe on the downhill from the top, and he's somewhere in the middle. He can compete with those guys, and that'll be fun. That'll be a fun fight.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know something about him at middleweight. He looks so drawn out. I just don't. Yeah. I don't. He looks like sick.
I was disappointed, and that's an understatement.
Anthony Pettis bouncing back, defeating Michael Chiesa, second round, triangle choke, triangle armbar, 2 armbar. Pettis looked good. He doesn't. He's still not as dynamic as he used to be on the feet.
Yeah,
but his submissions are still there.
I mean, he looked like the Pettis the only thing is he's fighting, Michael Chiesa, who isn't the greatest fighter, and he's coming off that long layoff.
Yeah,
he was supposed to fight on his what was the UFC 220 something like that, but he obviously the whole Conor McGregor thing he couldn't fight, but it's Michael Chiesa, so you got to take that win with a grain of salt. But he looked good though. He looked like his own self. But
did you see Michael Chiesa's comments recently where he was saying
Michael Chiesa is so annoying?
Like he was saying that the bus incident cost him a title shot. Like it derailed his title shot process.
Chiesa
he's a little delusional, man. I don't know.
That being delusional is an understatement. I'm glad that he lost that fight.
He's a little He's I know he's pumping himself up a lot, but I feel like
he's a big crybaby is what he is.
Yeah,
and he's always complaining about something.
I hate to say it, but the people that have come off that bus. I mean, there's not all of them are making waves. The two that are really making a stink of it are Rose and Chiesa. Rose is like talking. I don't know what she's doing now. I think she's gonna.
Well, I think Conor McGregor DM'd her and apologized,
and she didn't accept the apology, and
said, "Talk to Pat Barry."
Yeah, and I don't know,
Conor motherfucker.
Yeah, but I don't know. To me, she was going to do something legally, or she was doing some type of emotional distress. Personally, if you're calling yourself Thug Rose, for me, I think it's a little biatch move. I don't know. I think it's a little weakness.
I mean, no. I mean, if I was there, if I knew Conor was rich, I'd sue his ass like this, get that money.
I don't know, man.
Because
I don't think so.
I mean, you're gonna make
you can't walk around calling yourself Thug Rose and you have emotional distress from there. Come on, people have been in a lot worse situations.
Yeah,
I've been held at knife point, and I slept like a baby that night. So yeah.
It's all about money, and any smart fighter would do the same thing.
But to do it publicly in your public person, to me, I think it's a bit of a weak move. Yeah. Especially I compare it to Chiesa's crybaby. I lost my title shot type of thing. It's like, dude, get over it.
I call it a smart move because you're making money. You're gonna make money off the corner.
If you're like a regular person, and you got hell yeah, it's a smart move. But if you're like a championship level fighter, and you're still making a stink of it, like several months later,
she is a female, so you gotta give her.
But she's a fighter, and we're in the age of equal opportunity. I mean, you got to come on, toughen up a little bit. And I'm no cage fighter. I know that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think
toughen up a little bit.
I think in MMA fighting MMA too, you got to be like a Conor McGregor to make that big money, and fighting. I mean, it's not going to pay the bills forever, so you might as well make as much money as you can in the short time period you can fight. So, suing somebody for money, I think it's smart.
Yeah, I just think they kind of need to get over it already. I'm like, it's Kiasa talking about it,
and also like
Rose talking about it,
and I hope a lot of fighters just sue Conor, so Conor gets wake up, respond to the car. He can't be doing those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but I like Conor's antics. I don't agree with, but. People are gonna watch that Khabib fight.
No, yeah, they are. No, they are. But I'm saying, like, I'm happy. I'm happy that he's getting sued,
and we're gonna get to some antics.
It's a punishment that is deserved.
I don't know. I don't know how much legal stuff is really he's going on with. I know he's got the terms of the state and all that, but in terms of like actual legal
lawsuits,
I don't know if there's really a whole lot.
There probably isn't, but whatever, very little there is. Yeah. He deserves that.
There are talks about them making that Khabib fight towards the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't very much lawsuits, but the very little that they are, I mean, he deserves it.
I'm just bringing it up because I think you should get over it already. Just calm down, right? People are in Africa starving. People are like dying in wars. Chill out a little bit, all right? You got a little glass on you. It's okay. You have Mike Perry versus Paul Felder. Great back and forth. Rock'em sock'em fight. I mean, what'd you think about this fight? I thought, obviously, I think Perry was starting to show a little bit one-dimensional in his striking.
Mm-hmm. I've always felt that way with him.
I thought Felder was going to be able to capitalize on some of that, but he kind of fell into the game plan of Mike Perry in this.
Yeah, fight. I mean, Felder's he's a better fighter than that. His IQ is
that's
high
what I was
level.
talking about, yeah.
And it surprised me that he kind of fell into Mike Perry's game, but. And obviously, benefited from Mike Perry. Yeah. He fought the fight that he wanted to fight, and he came out the victor. And I thought, good for him.
And it was a fun fight, a bloody fight, back and forth. Those are always great to have on the card, because it's like, especially for casuals that are watching it, they're like, oh shit.
I think that whole card delivered. Besides the co-main event.
Yeah. We'll talk about the co-main event. How shitty was that co-main event?
It was probably the worst heavyweight fight that I've seen. Oh wait, no! I take it back. I've seen worse in Pride. If you look back at some of the Pride heavyweight fights,
because there was a lot of stalling. There was a lot of stalling in Pride.
Yeah, but as far as UFC heavyweight fights, I think that's probably the worst. No, I think you know how like in judging, I think they judge off of aggression and octagon control.
Yeah,
you can give it to Herb Dean. For octagon and control.
Yeah.
So if anybody won that fight, it's Herb Dean that won that fight.
Now that talk from Herb Dean was like a father scolding his sons. Hey.
Well, now, I mean,
now you want to hash this out. Like.
I mean, but I'll give credit to
it was great.
To Derek Lewis, because Derek Lewis, he was trying to make something happen.
He tried.
It's Ngannou who didn't want to engage. Ngannou was the one that's talking all that madness before the fight, and then when the fight actually happened. Yeah. I mean, he never pulled the trigger. Yeah. And it seemed like he wanted to avoid fighting.
I would say Ngannou's stock fell lower than Derek Lewis.
I think that Stipe fight really hurt his ego.
And he talked about it. Actually, he came out with a statement recently, either today or yesterday, saying that he carried that cautiousness from Stipe into this fight. Like there's too much emotion in this fight, and he was like afraid to pull the trigger. So
yeah, and I was surprised to see Derek Lewis trying to go for takedowns, but the thing with Derek Lewis is that I think his back injury is gonna haunt him.
Yeah,
and he needs to get that thing fixed because you can't be fighting high level fights with a bad back. But I mean, I think I fault Ngannou more than I do Lewis.
I agree. Now, would you say which one was the worst fight? Would you say CM Punk and Mike Jackson, or Francis Ngannou? And
Francis Ngannou, because at least there was action in the CM Punk fight.
Yeah, it was horrible action.
It was amateur action.
It was amateur action, but it was action.
But it was action.
Yeah.
At least those guys are. I think after the first round, only 4 strikes were thrown.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it was like what 30 strikes overall.
Yeah, in 3 rounds. It was.
And
guys
most of them were leg
fainting
kicks.
and going around the octagon and fainting at each other.
Yeah, just like yeah.
Throwing feints. I think I was CM Punk. He saw like
At least he
like
went
an
in there. He took
8-year-old doing
shots.
like it's like an 8-year-old throwing kicks, but
Yeah.
I mean there was action.
It was action. Yeah. How good of that night would have been if they would have had Max Holloway and Ortega still on the card?
It would have been sick.
It would've been sick,
And I think with Derek Lewis and Ngannou, that was like I was salivating at the mouth, before that fight. So
Yeah.
excited about the rock'em sock'em
Yeah.
back and forth that those guys would have, and
Yeah.
it was the complete opposite of not what I thought, but what a lot of people thought watching that fight.
Yeah, like I thought, okay, well, they lost that fight. We still have a good heavyweight rock'em sock'em fight coming up.
Yeah, and then plus,
they'll be all right.
Like I knew, if you go to bars, like you see casual fans and say, well, and casual fans are going to probably see this fight,
Two big guys
and want to invest more time in the sport, and then they pull off this shit. It's like, oh, come on.
I was with a few casuals, and they were like, but they're familiar with it. Actually, the girls their girlfriends were actually more familiar with the sport than they were. But
it's kind of sad.
It's kind of crazy. Huh? But you know what I'm finding out is that a lot of people really become knowledgeable, at least even just on a casual level, attending the UFC gyms and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They're big, like factor. They're big contributors to educating the public. It's weird. I've been noticing that. Like people like go work. Oh yeah, I work out at the UFC gym. They see the posters. They see like I'm sure fight promos and memorabilia everywhere, and so they're familiar with some of the fighters in the sport.
Yeah, you're right.
And the training.
I mean, they're gonna have to, right? I mean, it's kind of a requirement.
It's kind of a requirement, but they offer jiu-jitsu classes, kickboxing classes, and they become familiar with that stuff. So it's like a lot of people, I think, are that's a big tool that I didn't know if it was going to be a success, but I think it is. I think the UFC gyms have been a success so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because people like them, and I hear casual people talk about them. Oh yeah, I attend a UFC gym.
Yeah, it's almost like paying your money and going to like a fight camp, because you have like I said, you have exercise, you have yoga, you have jiu-jitsu, you have all that.
Everything, and
it's like going to your own
personal
fight camp.
It's all there, and it's interesting to hear people talk about it, casual fans especially. Yeah. So that the Max Holloway Ortega fight, were you disappointed? Obviously, we're all disappointed in that fight not happening. Now we don't know exactly what's wrong with Max. A lot of people are either trying to figure out if it was issues with weight cut or if it was concussion issues. There hasn't been any talks about him getting injured in training, so it might be weight cut issues. And so we're still figuring out what's up. But that fight is going to be rescheduled at a later date. Are you upset? A lot of people are mixed about Ortega not taking like the Jeremy Stevens fight. If you were in Ortega's shoes, would you have taken that fight? And are you kind of like knocking his decision?
I mean, no. I people need to understand that title opportunities are very few and far between, and when you get those opportunities, you got to seize that opportunity. Now, it wasn't he was ready to fight, and unfortunately, Max Holloway had to pull out of the fight. But I mean, if I was in Brian Ortega's shoes, screw the fans. You got to think for yourself and say, look, I want to not fight a dangerous guy like Jeremy Stevens, who's a beast in his own right, and just wait it out.
It's not like Max is injured.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, he'll be give him a month or two,
and then what if he loses? Then what? It's a high risk, no reward fight for Brian Ortega. Screw what people say, and think of yourself, and then when the opportunity comes again, you take it.
I think we'll see the fight somewhere in the early fall. I think.
I mean, put that like. I mean, they can put a co-main event with DC and Brock. That'll be freaking sick.
That'll be amazing. But that's a long ways away, though. I think that's
going to be November 3rd. I mean, they're targeting November 3rd as that Brock Lesnar fight.
Oh, really? That soon? I thought they were going to do like maybe a December, January.
I heard. I think Ariel said they're looking at November 3rd.
November 3rd. Nice. They don't have to wait too long.
And John Pollock also reported that same thing.
Nice. I like that. Well, let's get into the main event. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic heavyweight title fight, super fight, light heavyweight champ versus heavyweight champ. This fight ended in the first round in 33 seconds. Cormier landed a overhand right from the clinch. Stipe left his left arm down. Just a lazy move, bad habit by Stipe, I guess. Something that Cormier noticed in watching tape, that he would leave in the clinch, he'll leave his left arm down on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
So it left him exposed, and pretty much it was there. And fight was over before we knew it. In the fight, it looked like Stipe was well on his way to cruise into another victory. He looked really good. He was keeping Daniel at bay with his punches. He was hurting him. Daniel looked like he was starting to gas out, like starting to look exhausted. And that weight, they looked like the weight was going to be an issue because he looked, obviously he's walking around
very heavy.
Very heavy. So it looked like it might be an issue. Although I know Cormier, he's going to look like that. He'll probably stay that, he'll probably look good as the time goes on. He never fades really. So it looked good. And then all of a sudden, boom, Cormier lands that shot. And then that's it. He's two division champ.
Yeah, I think the word super fight gets thrown out a lot. It's one of those words that get kind of abused, but this is an actual super fight. You have the light heavyweight champion who was pretty much his only loss was against John Jones, someone who left the heavyweight division undefeated, went to 205 because Kane wanted to, was fighting heavyweight, and he came to heavyweight and fought the most accomplished heavyweight ever and knocked him out. It's pretty damn impressive, and yeah, I think Stipe's redundancy in all his fights kind of cost him. But like you said, like before that, he looked great. He was landing his shots. He's obviously the bigger guy. But DC, and you can't count that guy out.
No,
he's a
winner.
He's a championship caliber fighter, and him and Conor can only say they're the two division champ. I think this one means a little bit more than Conor because who DC fought.
Because DC's had a long career at the top.
Yeah, not only that, but the fact that Stipe was defending that heavyweight title and Conor beat
Eddie Alvarez.
He was still the legit champion, but
yeah,
I think you got to give
this was I think in terms of credentials in their respective divisions, this was definitely a super fight.
Yeah, and then the shenanigans after the fight was even more exciting.
No, a lot of people on there, when we're talking about this, we both are in agreement that we loved it.
Yeah.
We both love pro wrestling. We both come from, love that pro wrestling gimmicks. And there's a time and place in everything, especially in MMA for it. It doesn't always work in MMA, but
when it does,
it's done by Brock, it's magic. And Brock is probably one of the best at it.
Yeah.
I love that. When he hit the camera, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, his facial expressions, his aggressiveness, everything.
I loved it.
Yeah. And the thing I don't get is that people are talking crap about, like, the shenanigans and the pro wrestling thing, but, Conor does the exact same thing, and people celebrate them out.
People celebrate it, man. And I think it's because Brock has that pro wrestling background.
But the thing is, like, these hardcore MMA fans need to realize that mixed martial arts is an evolution of pro wrestling.
And even casuals, like some casuals are like, oh, yeah, come on, it's a little WWE. I'm like, not really though. Brock's a former champion.
But yeah,
he's a collegiate world champion. He's got credentials and he's got skill.
Former heavyweight champion.
It may not be the best overall mixed martial artist, but he's got legitimate skills that could really put hurting on people. I mean, he beat Mark Hunt. Even though he was probably wrote it up a little bit,
it's okay.
He beat Mark Hunt.
Yeah, and people, and even if they was pro wrestling is, so what? I mean, like I said before, mixed martial arts is the evolution of pro wrestling. So, I mean, anybody who wants to separate the two sports, I mean, are like blinded by that because they are one and the same.
We got a little friend in here.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It's okay. Yeah, but no, I loved it, and if people but all the people who were talking shit about it are the same people who are going to buy it.
They're going to buy it. People are going to watch it. People are going to buy it. There's no question about it. I have friends that don't watch MMA that much. They've seen a few events. They like it, but they're big wrestling guys, and they're like, let's get tickets to go. I'm like, yes, do it. I mean, but I think it was a great night way to end the night. Forget about the Holloway and Ortega fight not happening, and then the Derek Lewis and Nagano disaster. But the rest of the card was pretty good. And
but you know what? Like going back in the Nagano fight, like that UFC 226 was so awesome that you can kind of give a pass.
Yeah, you can give
to
a pass.
Nagano and like, yeah, it was a bad fight, but I don't think it overshadowed the whole card. I think the prelims and the main card delivered in every way, and
And then
I can give
especially the
that
main
fight a
event,
pass.
and the antics after the main event.
Yeah,
Like like people were asking me how this fight's gonna be because the next one was a heavyweight fight. I was like, oh no, these guys are gonna fight. Like they're not. Both of these guys go at it. There's no question about it. It's not gonna be like that fight that we just saw. So you guys will be all right. And so it did, and then
yeah.
it helped, and it was great. Great night of fights. So it looks like I think Cormier has a broken finger after that fight, so it doesn't look like he's. I mean, the time off till the Brock fight, he's gonna use it to heal. He
Yeah.
looks like he came out of a broken finger from that fight. He's still possibly gonna compete at light heavyweight
No,
before
he's not.
or after.
He's not.
He's
He
not
said
what?
that there's 2 fights left before he retires. That's Brock Lesnar, which he's gonna wait
Oh
for,
no no
and then fight John Jones.
no
And that's
he
it.
he will at light heavyweight though if it's a good matchup. Like only Gustafson, and he's also recently mentioned Shogun
Mm,
as a fight that he'd be interested in because I think just like have it on the resume. I fought Shogun,
mm.
but there's only maybe two names that he threw out there. He's like anybody else, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Even in heavyweight, like Curtis Blades, all that, he told them right away it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like it's just Brock,
and John
Brock,
Jones.
Gustafson, Jones, and maybe Shogun, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Smart.
And he's done by March, I think next year.
It's crazy because before the CBA fight, he pretty much said what his plan was, and that's to win both bouts, fight Brock, and then John Jones. And
Yeah.
so far, it's come to fruition, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, great night of fights. What also got mentioned? There was also Robert Whitaker against Calvin Gastelum to coach potentially the last season of Tough,
Oh, I hope so.
and that fight should happen towards the end of the year, December-ish. What'd you think about that announcement?
I'm not interested in the Ultra Fighter at all.
I'm not gonna really watch it,
I'm not gonna watch it at all. I mean,
although I like Robert Whitaker. I'm curious to see how his coaching is, but other than that,
yeah, it's just no interest in that. The fight doesn't really interest me. I think Robert Whitaker is in the
that fight doesn't interest you. Whitaker
no.
against Calvin Gastelum. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that matchup.
I think Robert Whitaker wins easy.
I think so too, but I would like to see him. But yeah, Calvin's dangerous, and he's got good hands. You know what I mean? So if he catches, I can see him catching Whitaker by surprise.
I think Yoel Romero can steamroll through Gaslam.
Yeah,
So I think
I think it's a fun matchup though.
I think Whitaker, seeing Whitaker take the shots from Ural
Yeah,
tells me that nobody can knock the guy out.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm not very keen on the matchup. I just think Robert Whitaker's gonna win very easily.
Yeah. I kind of liked it.
But that division's kind of boring anyway.
It kind of is, but you got the contenders that are coming up right now. There's not a whole lot of the old guard are leaving, like Lyoto, Musasi, they're not there anymore. Bisping's out. Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold is injured. Yoel Romero just fought for the title. I think it's a clear path for the contenders like Israel and Paulo Costa, like to
I
make
want
their way
Israel to
in.
be champion.
I think he will.
When he does become champion, I think that whole division the whole look of the division
It's going to change.
Yeah.
I think it's going to change.
Yeah.
I think
I look forward to that. I think right now it's like it's not very interesting.
No.
I think it's it's the least interesting. I think
You got
the
a credible
middleweight-
champion though as Whitaker. You got a credible champion. You got some of the best fights out of him already.
Mhm.
So I think when Israel gets to the top or Paulo Costa gets to the top, it's going to be interesting
It's
with
gonna
those
be-
guys.
it's gonna be good, yeah.
Let's get to Ed Ruth before we get to fight picks for this weekend. So here's our interview with Bellator undefeated middleweight, welterweight Ed Ruth. Here he is. Ed Ruth, man, thank you for coming on the show. Bellator middleweight, now welterweight, undefeated. You're what, 6-0, right? And you're fighting out of Fresno, man. Just welcome on the show. Glad to have you, dude. How's everything going for you since your last victory?
Everything's been going good, man. You know, luckily I was able to get out of the cage with not so many injuries, so I'm just kind of got right back to training.
Yep.
There you
Oh,
are.
there you go. Connection lost.
Oh, I'm sorry
there you go.
about that,
No problem.
I was leaving my house. We was getting in the car.
Yeah. Where are you headed right now?
We just had to go get my son.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So just a question I was just asking you about your win at Bellator 201. You had another second round TKO. Talk about that victory, man. How did it feel in terms of preparing for that fight? In the fight, what'd you take away from it? And moving to welterweight?
It was a good fight. I knew that the guy was 16. I think he was 14-2. Was it?
Hmm.
It was something like that. But
Yeah.
I knew that he was a more experienced guy. He was going to be tougher to fight. Just like the guy that I had before that, Ion Pascu.
Yeah.
I knew that they were like kind of tougher guys, but I just kind of wanted to push the pace and see how good I actually was. It just played out just the way I saw it.
Yeah.
Right. It's pretty impressive that you're 6-0, but it's more impressive that your 6 victories are mostly by via TKO. Like your background is wrestling, like you're a 3-time division. I mean, a collegiate champion in wrestling. Are you surprised by that, or are you just going with the flow when it comes to your striking?
Um, I'm kind of just going with the flow. It's just I don't know. It's just like when I fight, I just see a lot of things that other people don't see.
Right.
And it's just like when I'm in the cage, it's just like when I'm moving, there's a lot of movements that are like hidden in wrestling that pertains to fighting too. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you had such success at middleweight already. What made you decide to go to welterweight?
I was just doing a whole bunch of training, and like the training has been just making my body just change up. My muscles feel different. It's just like every time you're working out, the muscles change, your body changes.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what happens.
Yeah. Was that something you always wanted to go into the welterweight division, or was just just seemed right in terms of how your body felt?
It was just kind of how my body felt.
Yeah.
My managers were like, "Hey, you're just losing weight. We might as well just drop down to the next lower weight." So I kind of just did a chest cut, and everything turned out well. And yeah, so we just stayed down there welterweight.
Nice, nice.
Now, your last fight was a couple of weeks ago. Are you going to be in the cage pretty soon, or like where do you go in the next couple of months as far as fighting goes?
I do have another fight coming up August 17th.
Awesome.
That's what I'm looking forward to. But other than that, yeah, whatever comes next, I'm just trying to just kind of keep it moving.
Yeah, and that's a quick turnaround from June to August. So is it something you like to do in terms of keeping active, or is it just because you came out of the last fight, with no injuries really?
I just like to stay active.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who likes to just sit around and kind of just wait and then have somebody be like, okay, now you're fighting again. I kind of just like to keep a routine and just keep it going.
Yeah.
They got a super fight between Vern McDonald and Masasi. Like give your thoughts on that fight and would you like to fight? Are you ready to fight those guys? After your next fight in August.
It kind of turned out the way that everybody kind of saw it. Just wait, did you play yet? Oh no, I didn't play yet. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking that they fought. I just kind of feel that it's just Masasi, just because he's a bigger guy, and the bigger guy is just you just have more weight, more leverage on the guy.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just throwing punches, you expend a lot less energy. And just kind of going off of the facts, just kind of going off of that, I just kind of feel like it would kind of be more in Mustafi's favor.
Yeah.
But Roy does have like a great background in like wrestling and everything. He's a mover, you can tell he has a high IQ. So it's going to be an interesting fight.
It is, since now that you're in the welterweight division, now that they announced the tournament, is throwing your name in there, maybe as an alternate or even as a competitor, is that something you're interested in?
I definitely want to be in that tournament. I mean, like, if there's anywhere for me to test my skills, it would be in that Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And have you talked to Scott Coker about possibly you being like an alternate in that tournament?
I mean, like I talked to him, and I definitely threw my hat in the ring. So we'll just see what he picks up.
Nice, nice. And in terms of your training, you come from a collegiate wrestling background. You're high level in terms of that, but you also have you post a lot on Instagram. Your various methods of flexibility, and you have a lot of unorthodox ways of training. Is that something that you picked up from MMA, or is that something you brought over from wrestling?
I just always been a real busybody when I was a kid. I just like to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that really stuck with me were weapons and I watched YouTube and stuff. I used to love capoeira when I was wrestling.
Yeah.
And it kind of because I used to love the way they would dance and move around. They were so light in their feet, and I would try to mimic that when I was wrestling. after a while, I was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, So I was just watching a lot of videos like that.
Yeah. Have you trained capoeira or?
Here and there, but then after a while, there's dancing, and then there's like actual fighting.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's pretty funny. There's two guys from the collegiate world that made big news over this weekend with Brock and DC. Did you happen to watch that? And if so, your thoughts on that whole shenanigans in the cage?
Oh man, no comment. all I saw was that big knockout. That's all I saw.
Yeah, it was very pro wrestling ish.
Yeah.
Now you obviously, I think you trained with Jones in the past, and is that something like when you're watching the DC fight? Is it hard to root for a guy like DC, or you have like no
connection?
Do you have no ill will towards DC in terms of his success?
No ill will, because DC. I actually train with DC now. It's like I trained with Jones first because when I was in college, all I knew that John Jones was pound for pound guy. And I was like, okay, I definitely want to go train with him. I want to see what they got going on over at their gym. I just wanted to see if there was something different. If I would like it over there. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up settling down in Fresno, and I was like, okay, well DC is only 2 hours away, so I start going up there and training with him. I love DC. I don't think he's just DC. I love him. He's a great guy.
Now Bellator is kind of pushing you, but they're also doing it like in a slow way. Do you want to be pushed, slower, or do you want to just have a skyrocket behind your back and obviously fight for a title sooner rather than later?
I don't mind being pushed. I like it when I get the opportunity, and if you give me the opportunity, I like to rise up to it. I hate hiding from something. I hate admitting that I'm scared of something or I'm scared of someone. Yeah. And I just don't feel like I'm scared of anybody.
Right. Yeah. Because to be honest, in the past, Bellator kind of highlighted their veterans in the sport too. Like for the audience. Where now they have someone who's young, athletic, and good looking, and I think they should invest or look at that and kind of like, put you in the forefront of the promotion and have you be the face of the promotion.
It was always like the last thing I wanted to be was put in front was because of like, being athletic. I wanted to be put in front of there because of some skill,
Yeah. Well, you got skill, man. You got skill. You got skill. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you got skill.
Well, I mean, like they're not enough, and it's like the fact that they're pushing me, it gives me opportunity to fight even better guys, and I want to fight better guys, because I want to know that I'm growing, and I want to know that I'm getting better.
Yeah. There's a lot of like a comparison to your skill level and to your rise in like a John Jones or even like a DC. You're getting those names are getting mentioned while you're fighting. Is that something you're comfortable with, or you're like you appreciate that compliment?
I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I love it. It's just they're comparing me to guys that I want to be compared to. You got to see your heroes as your rivals if you want to get anywhere. You can't just be like looking up to the people all the time. You keep looking up to people, you're going to get beat down. So it's just like I got to see these guys as rivals.
Yeah. Now, Ed, be honest with me, man. Like how amazing does it feel like to go to places and know that you can kick pretty much anybody's ass in that building or in that room?
It makes me feel really calm.
Do you ever use it to your advantage, like to get like a girl or somebody, or
he's got his girl right there?
Oh, he got his girl. No, try to cover her ears.
She can fight too.
He loves you.
Oh, no, awkward ride home now. Now, in terms of your skill level and all that, like who did you look up to when you're training, when you're wrestling? Like, who are you a fan of in MMA?
Oh man, when I was watching wrestling, I was actually watching boxing, like different videos. I was watching like Mike Tyson and all that before I would go out for a match. Yeah. So like just to kind of pump myself up, I'm like, I'm about to go wrestling. I would always think Mike Tyson, like he was just on the path of destruction, or the Hulk. I would watch like a little clip of the Hulk just like running, like doing all this animalistic athletic stuff, you know. And it was just like I was like, man, that stuff is cool. And you know, I kind of looked up to like images of that. And it wasn't like I never watched like any one wrestler because there was nobody that really like portrayed power to me like the way that the Hulk would. I was like, man, this is the Hulk. You know, this big green plant man just going around just tearing everything apart.
Yeah. Have you ever met Lou Ferrigno or anything like that?
No, I never did. It would be cool to.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when I was growing up, we were all about the bigger Hulk. You know, the CGI Hulk.
The CGI Hulk.
Like, yeah, where he was actually big.
Yeah, exactly.
When I saw that, I was like, he's huge. Ain't nobody gonna tell him to go to bed at 9 o'clock. You know?
Yeah, that's funny.
I was a petty kid.
Yeah.
Were you ever into pro wrestling?
Huh?
Like, were you ever a fan of pro wrestling?
I used to watch a lot of WWE when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
Like just like Booker T. Washington, The Rock, Stone Cold.
Okay.
You know, and they would just run, jump off the ropes, and hit each other with chairs. So I used to love that stuff. I thought that was wrestling for the long.
Yeah. You know, me too, man. Because I wrestled in high school too, and the reason why I joined wrestling was I thought it was gonna be like WWE, and then it was a harsh reality when it wasn't.
Yeah, I went over there and this guy's like hugging some other guy's kneecap. I'm like, yo, this isn't wrestling. Yeah. Like, get up, guys.
Yeah, you know, my friend got disqualified from a match. He actually got the sharpshooter on somebody, and he got disqualified.
Worth it.
It worked though. Yeah. Man, it's been great talking to you. We look forward to your fight in August. What card is that? Do you know exactly what card it's going to be?
Not off the top of my head.
You don't know the number just yet, right?
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Nice.
She knows everything.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right.
I don't know if you want to give a shout out to the fans on social media. Let them know where to find you, sponsors, any of that.
Hey, Ed Ruth 67 or Ed Ruth 67, or also you can find me on Facebook at Ed Ruth 67. And that's about it.
All right. Best of luck on your fight in August, and tell your girlfriend that your heart only belongs to her and I know now. So it's all good.
You have a good one.
All right, man. Take care, man.
Yeah.
And that was our interview with Ed Ruth. Great guy, man. I look forward to seeing him in August. Quick turnaround for him. So be interested to see it. Thank you for Ed Ruth for being on the show.
And I apologize to his girlfriend. I didn't know she was driving that car. So
yeah. I saw her leaving the house at the same time. But yeah, she was there. She was hidden.
Yeah.
I
felt like Jackass.
Well, someone was driving.
I knew he was being driven to somewhere. I just didn't think it was his girlfriend driving him. I think it was like his coach or a teammate.
That's all right. It was a good time.
We don't laugh, so it's all good.
Yeah. This weekend, you had one championship, 77, Pursuit of Power. That's from Malaysia. You had Dana White's Contender Series on Tuesday. Bellator 202, Bud versus Nogueira. And also back-to-back events on the 14th from Italy, Pitbull versus Welch 2. So 2 back-to-back events from Bellator this weekend. Eduardo Dantas on the card versus Michael McDonald, great one. Chris Honeycutt on the card. You have who else is on the card here? Quite a few people. A lot of Bellator guys, but this is gonna be interesting fight card. So 2 Bellator fight cards. Steve Cazzola, shout out to Steve, great friend of the show, is fighting this weekend against Ryan Walker, and that's it. Bellator this weekend. Bellator heavy weekend.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you guys for watching the show. Thank you for Ed Ruth for being on the show. We'll catch you guys next week, and go to themmacomplex.com.
Yeah, and if you go to themmacomplex.com and look out for our new shirts, they're on the shop.
They'll be up soon?
Yeah, pretty soon. So hopefully you guys can catch that. But yeah, you can catch us on social media. You can catch me on Twitter, MMA Complex James. You can catch him on Twitter, MMA Complex Josh. MMA Complex Josh. You can follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all under the MMA Complex. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully you get some good guests. But until then, enjoy the Bellator fights and enjoy your week.